Hey, it's Hallie. Welcome to my blog. So today I wanted to talk about dieting tips. I am 12 weeks out from my first show. So things are, food has continued to come down. So I am definitely in a calorie deficit. It's noticeable, but I've done fat loss phases before. So I've lived at lower calories for months before, but knowing food and understanding how to strategize the right food choices and other different systems in place, I think can be super helpful. So what I have really benefited from so far, because I'm going into week 7 of being in a deficit, is I feel really good with energy. I feel really good with my appetite regulation and how my hunger has been, and nothing has felt really extreme yet anyway. And so I'm just putting to use the knowledge that I have with food from just an education standpoint, but also from my own experiences with dieting before. So I wanted to go through a few things. First, I wanted to touch on meal timing and what I'm doing for meal timing. So I have 4 main meals in the day and 1 small snack. And I do get up and immediately go for a walk in the morning. And part of that is because I take a thyroid medication and I've taken it for years and I can't have anything an hour after I have it. So I started doing this a few years ago where I would get up and I would need to do something before I could eat or have coffee. So I started doing a walk outside, and then with COVID and all that, it just made that easier. So I get up, I go for a walk, I get home, I do some posing practice, and then I start making breakfast and coffee. So I usually, by the time I sit down to eat my breakfast and my coffee, it's usually been maybe an hour and 45 minutes since I woke up. That time does pass pretty quickly, but I'm not pushing out my first meal. That's just what happens with my morning routine. I love breakfast. It's like one of my favorite foods. I wake up hungry daily. I know some people don't. So if you're the type of person that can push out their first meal a little bit, by all means do it. There's no magical benefits to intermittent fasting or anything, but it just works for me that it's a little bit into my morning, but I'm still getting breakfast pretty early. So I make use of that pretty early in the morning with coffee. And then I go to the gym a couple hours after that. And then after the gym, it is really important that I get in some carbs and protein post-workout. So I'm still making really good use of my training and supporting my muscle tissue. But I've practiced pushing out my lunch just a little bit. So I'm still getting it in a good time frame post-training. You don't need to get it right after. You're still gonna get the anabolic benefits of it. But I am maybe getting it almost an hour after I leave the gym. So getting in lunch, and that's a good sized meal. And then I do a very small snack, probably a few hours later. Otherwise it'd be 6 hours between lunch and dinner, and I think I would go crazy. So I do a small snack, and I'll go through some of that. And then I do dinner around 6, and then do another meal, my yogurt bowl at night, around 8. So that's how I spread out my meals, and then I go to bed around 9, asleep by 9:20 pretty quick. So that's how I'm structuring my day. I feel like I stay very satisfied. The foods that I'm implementing to help, because I am very mindful of choosing foods that I enjoy, eating foods that are satisfying, that take up volume so I feel full. Primarily eating majority whole foods at this point, because that's going to maximize volume and satiety, and then you get as much nutrients from it as possible. And then fiber is your friend. It's important to me that I still have daily poops and feel good with that, and just support good digestion. So I pulled out some of my foods that I'm incorporating. So artichoke hearts are my main vegetable with lunch, and then I have a box of mixed greens here. If we go to the farmer's market, I'll get a bag of mixed greens, and I'll get as much produce from the farmer's market right now as possible. But I put a bunch of mixed greens in my lunch and dinner right now, and that has really, really helped with adding some volume to my meals. I don't tolerate raw vegetables that well. So mixed greens and cucumber is pretty much the only vegetables I eat raw. Everything else is cooked, but mixed greens are going to be a game changer. Artichoke hearts are really high in fiber, so they've been my go-to for lunch. Dinners, we'll do usually 2 out of cucumber, bell pepper, broccoli, and zucchini, and some onions. So Adam and I cook dinner together, and we just have that in our rotation year round. Cucumbers. I cut up these cucumbers and just put the slices in the bag that I wasn't gonna have yet, but I just keep this in the fridge. This is what I use for my afternoon snack. I'll do some cucumbers with usually some peanut butter. It's not weird, it actually tastes pretty good. A little bit of salt, maybe some berries and stuff. So it's a small snack, but a cucumber goes really far. Like I'll probably eat like a small to medium cucumber at one time every single day. So that's great. It doesn't have fiber, it's like a lot of water, but it just gives you a good amount of food to snack on. Raspberries, these are frozen. We will get fresh ones through the summer, raspberries and blueberries, but I include berries in the morning with my breakfast on my oatmeal, and also at night with my yogurt bowl, and then sometimes the little afternoon snack. I just got these potatoes. These are just little like baby potatoes. I got some from the farmer's market last week and they're really good. So potatoes aren't my go-to carb. I love oats, I love rice, and fruit, but potatoes are gonna be fiber, a little bit more filling, and I do enjoy them. I just forget about them sometimes. And so I got these potatoes, I just roasted them with a little bit of cooking spray in the oven for like 45 minutes, and then just keep them in a container. And I'll put these with my lunch. And so it's a good carb like post-workout, and add a good amount of volume too. So those are my go-to produce options. Protein. I get protein in every single of the main meals, and I make sure I get in at least 30 grams of protein those 4 different times of day. A little bit here and there in that snack too. So I do Greek yogurt night. This is one of my favorite meals, just a yogurt bowl. Egg whites I do a lot in the morning. I'll do a little bit of yogurt in the morning too with my oatmeal. Lunch and dinner is some form of animal protein. So ground beef, lean ground turkey, fish, white fish or salmon or something. I grilled chicken. We made a bunch of chicken last night for dinner. So leftovers, we just put in a container, and both Adam and I will eat this for lunch. And I usually have some form of like ground beef or ground turkey also in the fridge, just in case we're out of chicken, or if Adam eats all of it, which does happen. So those are like big food sources for me, is I'm getting in protein. Fats right now, avocado, peanut butter, almond milk, I guess has a little bit. I do a little bit of dark chocolate at night too, which I guess if you're thinking about processed foods, the dark chocolate's like as terrible as it gets at this point. So those are like the primary food sources that I have, and I'm planning to do a full day of eating very soon. So I'll share what my meals are looking like shortly. Okay, let's talk liquids. So water intake has been very helpful. If you're trying to get in more water, just go into a deficit and you'll be able to drink a lot more water really easily. So how I do it is I get water first thing in the morning. I have a full glass of water on my bedside table. I wake up, I grab the water, my phone, go into the bathroom because Adam is still sleeping. So I drink I drink 2 glasses, about 24 ounces before I leave for my walk. And I drink another 1.5 glasses when I'm making breakfast. And then I have it kind of timed throughout the day to keep drinking water throughout the day. And then I have this water bottle I take with me to the gym, and I drink one of these right after the workout with my creatine and element electrolytes. And then also again later, like we usually do an afternoon walk. So I usually have it after that just to get another good amount of water and electrolytes in too. So I get 2 of these, and then I drink 7 to 8 glasses, and that puts me around anywhere from 140 to 150 ounces of water a day. That's just water. That's not including coffee or anything like that. I also do diet soda, believe it or not. Actually, this would be the most processed thing that I have right now. I don't really include diet soda when I'm not in a cut, only because carbonated things will really fill you up. So when you're in a cut, this is the time. And I'm not a huge fan of Diet Coke. It also has caffeine, and so if I'm drinking it like in the afternoon and stuff, it won't really help with sleep. But I love diet root beer. So I just will have this in the pantry and just like sip on it whenever I want, if I just need to have something. Very, very helpful. I don't have a ton of it a day. I don't even know, I might have 12 ounces a day, so it's really minimal. And then coffee helps. So I have a big cup of coffee in the morning with my breakfast. I usually eat breakfast after that, but it's still like all at the same time. probably like 20 ounces of coffee with almond milk and stevia, sometimes some sugar-free vanilla. And then I also do a cup of coffee early afternoon, like 1 or 2 p.m. It doesn't affect my sleep to have it that late, but it might for you, so you should know that for yourself. So I do make use of caffeine just to help with some like blunting of some appetite, but it doesn't do much. It's just like another thing to do. It's maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours after lunch, and like during the day when I'm not having any other like main meals. And so it's just another thing for me to help fill myself up. Okay, some other things that are very, very helpful for regulating appetite and just feeling like it's less severe. Sleep is a huge one and highly underrated. So really prioritize your sleep all the time, but especially in a fat loss phase. It's gonna make a massive difference of losing body fat and maintaining your muscle tissue. It's gonna give you mental clarity. It's gonna reduce cravings. It's gonna make a huge difference in how you feel. Energy levels, hunger levels, appetite regulation, all of that. So sleep is huge. I wish I could get closer to 8 or so hours, but I probably get like 7.5 most nights because I get up so early. But don't skimp on sleep. Make it a priority for you to get to bed by a decent time and wake up at a time that works for you with your schedule. Another thing, I make sure that when I eat my meals, I'm sitting down and I'm eating slowly and I'm not rushing. I will sometimes watch something or do some emails or something while I work. At night, we eat dinner together as a family, Adam and my sister and I. And it's nice to we sit outside in the summer and we relax and we slow down. But to eat slowly, chew your food really well, it's gonna help with digestion and it's gonna help to give yourself time to recognize that you're full. Sometimes I finish lunch and I'm pretty hungry for lunch because it's after I've worked out. And I feel like I'm still maybe a little bit hungry after I finish eating, but I give it some time. I go drink a few sips of water, I brush my teeth, and I realize pretty quickly, like within 20 minutes, that I'm actually full. And when I go to make my coffee sometimes at like 1:30 p.m. and it's been an hour and a half since I ate lunch, that I'm actually like not that hungry for coffee, but it's just nice to like have something to sip on while I work and everything. So eat slowly, take your time with it, do not rush it. So the last couple things I was gonna talk about are less tactical and more mindset. So how you're framing things to yourself or to those around you makes a huge difference to your experience. So the way that you frame things will shape your reality. And so instead of thinking about the things that I'm not including right now, I'm thinking about the things that I am including and focusing on that. So a place of abundance versus lack. And my husband is a professional triathlete and he races through the summer. So right now his training volume is really high. He eats a lot of food. He eats anywhere from like 4,000 to 6,000 calories a day, and we'll get in like over 1,000 grams of carbs and stuff. And so I've been used to being around that for a while. So even when I'm at a maintenance intake or like in a surplus, he's still eating like several times the amount that I am. And if I let that dictate me or made me feel like I was missing out, it just wouldn't work, right? I would be resenting him for no reason and it's not his fault. I'm a much smaller person than he is, and so I just naturally need less food, and we have very different training. And he's eating for performance, which is a very different thing than I'm eating for aesthetics, right? And so being around him, he might eat a pint of ice cream sometimes. He eats a lot of rice and cereal and just like more food volume in general. And so it's important for me to look at my bowl of food and really be grateful for the food in front of me and to think about it as like, I get to have all of this food in front of me. Having the volume foods really makes a difference with it actually legit looking like a lot of food. When I do my full day of eating, I will share that. It actually does look like a good amount of food for how little calories that I'm taking in at this point. And so if you are only focused on the things that you're not including right now, then it's going to feel very restrictive and it's going to be harder than it needs to be, right? There's already going to be things challenging about being in a cut. Don't add that to your list. So the mindset plays a big role. And then at the end of the day, know that this is a choice that you're making. So if you're in a fat loss phase for health, performance, aesthetic goals, just feeling better, feeling more confident, anything like that, you are deciding to do that. It's voluntary. And so having that mindset of like, I'm choosing this. So instead of thinking like, I can't have that, that's off limits, someone took that away from me, or someone brought that food around, is making it really hard, thinking about, I choose to have this. I am choosing to do this. I want to do this. And it can make it a really more positive experience. And so those are my tips with making this fun and enjoyable and feeling really good. And I'm very happy with how things are feeling so far. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll check back next time.